Good morning. I'm happy to say 2021's got off to a really good start for me. I'm very lucky that I've got a lot of local waters around me with some really big fish in. But this winter's been tough. A lot of them have fished quite poorly, even the runs waters have fished quite slowly, and even the predator fishing's been quite poor. I think this is due to all the flood water really colouring up the lakes, and they've just switched off. So I've been flitting around a little bit and just not really getting into anything. So when I see that break in the weather, I just knew that I had to get out carp fishing, so I made the decision that I was going to head to a couple of waters on my club ticket I'd never even looked at before. So I headed out on the Thursday, lapped them both, and I decided to fish the more heavily stocked water of the two. I did have one, a mid-double common, but I felt like I could have got more from the day, so I decided I was going to head back there on the Saturday. But I arrived to a busy lake and it just didn't feel right, so I walked around the lake next door, which has got lots of much bigger fish in, and the lake was busy, but as soon as I approached a corner swim which was free, it just felt perfect. The sun was coming up, there was a light breeze blowing into the corner, and it just felt right. So I quickly went and got the kit, got the rods out as quick as I could, and after a couple of hours the right hand rod was away, and as soon as I picked up the rod I just knew it was a good fish. A few minutes later I ended up bundling a 33-pound common into the net, and yeah, winter was made. It only takes one bite in the winter and it all comes good, so absolutely made up with that, especially from a new water that's, like I say, I'd never even looked at until the Thursday. So there's a couple of weeks left on this ticket, so I probably will put my attention into here for the few days I've got left and see if I can catch any more of these cool carp, and then that will be the end of the season on the club ticket, and then I'll be heading back to the other water in search of that big common again. Last night we got the news that hopefully by the end of March we'll be able to get out, start night fishing again. Whether this means I'll be able to get to Wraysbury or not, I don't know. I'm hopeful of that. As soon as I do, I'll be able to start putting the videos back together, and obviously anything that happens between, I'll film that as well. So I hope you have a good spring, and I'll catch up with you soon. Well, following on from the 33-pounder on Saturday, as you can imagine, I was itching to get back to the lake, and with the mild weather continuing, I made the most of a gap between jobs and managed to get back down on the Thursday. So I got back in the same area, and after quite a slow morning, I wasn't really sure if there was any sort of fish in the zone, and I see a fish show in the middle, so I reeled in and went for a walk round, but I couldn't really access the area where I'd seen the fish, so I made the decision to stay put, and after around 20 minutes of getting the rods out, I was away again, and this time an even bigger common at 34.10. Quite a different fish, a bit more chestnut in colour, but just such a good result after such a slow winter. I made up with the start of the year, so I've got a little bit of footage with it, so I'll show that to you now. Well, it's been a while since we last spoke and I had those two £30 commons, and this is because sadly my van was stolen. This come as a total shock and, as you can imagine, a major kick in the teeth. So my priority was to keep my business going and get back to work as quick as possible. We're a few weeks down the line now and I'm happy to say that I'm back at Wraysbury. After what feels like forever, it's been nearly 6 months since my last trip. It feels so good to be out. It's May the 1st. The draw wasn't that kind to me. I come out towards the end. I'm in a swim I've not fished before, but now I'm set up, it just feels lovely to be out fishing again. A lot of the guys are only doing 1 to 2 nights, so I'm hoping tomorrow a move becomes available. I've got 4 nights if I want to. I thought after all this time away that I'd try and get a longer session in if I can, so I'm hoping that I can get into one of the hot pegs at some point of my trip. So yeah, I'll keep you tuned in as we go. In terms of the journal going into the spring, so my plans this year, I'm probably not going to get to Rosebury quite as much as I did last year. We'll see how things go, but I'm hoping for another good year on here. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of fish that I like in here, but we'll just do what we can while we're here. My main goal is to put as many fish on the bank as I can. Anybody that followed the journals last year, you would have seen that I did lose a few. So that is my main goal this year, is to land as much as possible. The club water, of course, I'll be back there. I'll share what I can with you over there. We'll see how things go. Obviously, I'd love to catch that big common, but who knows. And as well as that, I'll be doing a little bit of fishing on Suffolk Water Park. I'll share with you what I can of it. I've got a job literally around the corner from it, so it makes sense to do a little bit of fishing over there. I've never fished it before, so I'm quite looking forward to getting over there and hopefully sharing a few of my stories over there with you. So I hope you're all having a great spring so far. I look forward to sharing mine with you, and hopefully we will have another good season at Wraysbury. I'll catch you soon. Well, good morning. I'm happy to say we are off the mark. After stupidly saying that I didn't want to lose any fish this year, I only went and lost my first bite the following morning. I made a move into Blake's after seeing the weather that would be coming in after a horrendous night under the brolly. But finally, the second morning, a solid bag has produced this epic 23 pounder. What a cool carp to start with. Its colours, its shape, just an absolutely beautiful carp. Made up to get one after losing one. As you can imagine, I was absolutely gutted. It's been one of the hardest periods of my life these last couple of months. So to get back to Rosebury and catching this beautiful carp is just, yeah, just what I needed. What a start. Well, we've got another one, a little bit bigger, but a proper creature. Big shoulders, which I'm sure will be a big fish one day. 28.10. What a start. Wicked carp. Perfect mouth. Yeah, made my trip. What a start to the season. All fish taken on solid bags. I'm not even fishing to spots, I'm just casting where I've seen them, which just says to me they're a little bit slow waking up still, because plenty of bait's gone in, and they've just not reacted to it as yet. So hopefully 2 or 3 more weeks and they'll start waking up. Wicked. Well, we're back at Wraysbury, and before I've even had a chance to do a vlog piece, we've got one. We're back in Spring Gates, and yeah, early hours of this morning, right, the rod's ripped off. This lovely 25-pounder. Result. Good to get one early on. A couple of nights left. Whether I'll stay in here or not, I'm not sure. There's definitely a few fish out here. Happy days. Good morning. So following on from that 25-pounder, I've actually taken the gamble and moved. Didn't really plan to, but I'd seen fish showing in the far corner, and then somebody went opposite me and I just wasn't really feeling it anymore, so made the decision to up sticks, got round as quick as I could. I'm all set up in the swim now, so I'm actually in a swim called Sunnymeads. So for anybody that watched the journals last year, this is the swim that I caught my first Rosebury 30 from. I've not really fished it since, but it's always good pre-spawning. It's been doing a few, and like I say, I see them here this morning, so the lake's bound to get a little bit busier over the next day or so. So yeah, fingers crossed, tucked away in a little corner, might do me a couple more. I'll keep you updated. Morning. So my gamble didn't really pay off. All I had in Sunnymeads was a tench, so I wasn't really feeling it. Didn't really think the fish were there anymore after a weather change, so I decided to move again. Luckily there was an option available that I felt was worth it because the lake is pretty busy now. So I moved into a swim called Ropes, which essentially is the other end of the island of the water that Bus Stop commands. So they opened this swim last year. I haven't fished it as yet, so it was nice to get a night in here, sort of get familiar with it a little bit. I don't think it's a swim I'm going to fish loads, but I want to get to know more of the swims, that in case I turn up and it's busy, I've got options available when I know the swim. So I've done the night in here. There are fish behind the rope. I'd say they're more towards Bus Stop than here, but I'm moving into Bus Stop today, so I've got one more night left, so hopefully I can pinch one from Bus Stop if it doesn't happen here. But the weather's changed completely. We've got a lot of rain. It's gone quite moody, and anybody that knows Wraysbury or is planning to come to Wraysbury, when it feels good and you get a big pressure drop and the rain turns up, it just goes moody. It doesn't switch on like most lakes. It likes the warm, high pressures, it responds to them. So yeah, a little bit moody at the minute. It's only done a couple, so hopefully this rain will pass and there might be a chance of one before I go, because I'm going to struggle to get back much for the next month or so. That's why I've made the most of getting down for these 2 longer trips while I've had the time. So yeah, I'll keep you updated when I move, and fingers crossed one turns up. Well, my trip's come to an end and my luck didn't change. I only had the one fish, so I ended up moving 4 times and it just didn't happen. But I'm sure if I stayed where I was, I probably would have ended up with 2 or 3 other fish, but I'd rather chase them around and try to make it happen. The lake's fishing slow. I think there's just a lot of angling pressure and they've just got the guard up. There was a lot of fish sitting behind the island, and sitting in Bus Stop I was as close as I could be to them, but it just didn't happen in the end. So I'm not back at Wraysbury for a couple of weeks now, so hopefully this weather will sort of level out a little bit more, and by the time I'm back they might have switched on a little bit more. But for now I'll be back to the club water and I'll see if I can get off the mark over there. So if anything happens over there I'll share that with you, but if not, I'll see you when I'm back at Wraysbury. Well, good morning from Wraysbury South Lake. So it's the bank holiday weekend. I got down late on the Friday night after hitting the M25 traffic, and I just knew it was going to be crazy busy, and it was. Probably a handful of swims and just nothing that screamed out to me, so decided to fish the South Lake. I've been rewarded this absolute cracker this morning. Early hours, the rod's busted off, real hit and hold. It's just lovely, lovely fishing here. They've taken on real nice colours, absolutely beautiful. I've never fished this area of the lake before. It was really nice to do a night in here after a long week. Like I say, a bit of traffic getting up here. It's nice just to kick back, but no one fishing either side of me. Considering the north's so busy, felt nice to have a bit of quiet time. There's fish showing out there now. Definitely a chance of a couple more. And we'll see if we can move. Awesome. Right, well, after that mid-double, I actually ended up moving about an hour later, and this is because I'd found out that a swim had become available on the Nore, so I packed down as quick as I could, got back over here, and a couple of swims had actually become free, so I've ended up in Runway. So for anybody that watched last year, this is the swim that I'd done my first trip in, and I didn't really fish it afterwards. I think I'd done one other night in here. It's bang in the centre of the lake, and it's been fishing well. The last couple of days a lot of fish have come out, and this swim puts me bang in the centre of where a lot of them have been coming out, so I sort of feel like I'm, you know, as close to them as I can get. Rods went out sweet. I know the areas pretty well out there, and yeah, they've gone out really nice, and it just feels prime. It's been so nice sitting in this sunshine. It really does feel like summer's arrived and we've skipped spring, so hopefully this is the kick that they needed, and it always fishes well in these sort of conditions. So I've only got tonight, so I'm really hopeful, and obviously if I have anything I'll share that with you, so hopefully I'll be showing you one soon. Good morning, we're back at Rosebury, and if you couldn't tell by the rods laying on the floor, the trip in Runway unfortunately resulted in a blank. I woke up and the fish just weren't there. It was quite apparent they were in the shallow water, and there weren't a lot I could do about it. I got as close as I could to them, so I left a little disappointed. I just felt like I didn't really get a lot from that session, and I knew there was a chance that the fish could spawn, so I was desperate to get back, and I'd made a lot of effort to make this long weekend happen. Luckily for me, the fish hadn't shown any signs of spawning. They're definitely spending time down the shallow end. So I got down on the Thursday, and I knew I wanted to be down in the shallows. Ideally I'd have liked to have got in spring gates, but I knew there was a slim chance of that, so continued walking round, and to my surprise bus stop was free. As I've mentioned earlier, it's not really a swim that I'm looking to do loads of time in this year, but it's a hard swim to walk past in this sort of weather. It's been fished hard this year, and it's not actually fished that well, but I found it hard to refuse, so I decided to spread the rods out a little bit, and I tried to avoid the areas that I know get fished hard on a regular basis, so I spread them out, and I took a bit of a gamble on an open water spot that a friend put me on. I've not caught anything off it myself, but I've leaded it and fished it a couple of times. So I took a gamble on that, went quite heavy with a bait, and that's ended up being the rod that's produced. So going into the night, I started seeing a few fish, and then going into dark, a lot of fish started showing all around, just in general in this area. And then the liners started, so I started getting some quite aggressive liners on the right hand rod, which eventually turned into a take around 2 AM. Had this real aggressive run, which took me into some weed, and unfortunately I lost the fish, so gutted with that. It's weedier this year already, so it's going to be quite tough with the weed, but got the rod back out, and within an hour had another take, and landed that one, a beautiful mirror just under £21, which certainly made up for the loss. So I've got the rods back out now and the liners have begun, and there's lots of fish showing all around in front, so I'm feeling really confident, and hopefully I can pick off a couple before the weekend anglers turn up. But we'll see what happens. It's a little bit cooler today, which will hopefully keep them away from spawning for a few more days, but we'll see. So yeah, happy to get one, shame to lose one, but I'm on them, and yeah, it looks good. So I'll show the footage of the mirror now, and hopefully I'll be showing you a couple more this weekend. What a beautiful carp. They don't get much better than that. Just under £21. Absolutely gorgeous fish. Good start. Right, well, I've sat out all day. I felt like the fish moved off, but I stuck to my guns. I knew there were fish around, and really I was waiting for them to come back this evening. And I've kept 5 spots baited while I've been here, and I've alternated the rods around when I've seen certain things. I see enough today to move a rod. Finally, just going into dark, busted off. I've had a mega battle with this proper super stocky. £33, solid as a rock, proper beast. Just what I've been waiting for. Absolutely made up with this one. Real character. Absolutely awesome. Buzzing. Well, we've got another one. Following on from the 33, the night was pretty quiet. There were fish showing, but they were more beyond me. And then going into the morning, I felt like the chance faded. The sun come up, it got pretty warm, and out of the blue, I had a take. And this is real hit and hold in here. And in this warm weather, they just pull so hard, and I just couldn't stop this fish. It was a matter of seconds. It just started to touch the branches, and then the hook pulled, so gutted to lose one. So I rested the swim for a couple of hours, got the rods back out, a little bit more bait, and just creeping into the evening, I started getting some liners. I knew I was close. I just had this mental battle of this real angry thing. Just over £20. I think he's certainly a male. He's not happy at all. A lovely, lovely carp. Disappointing to lose a couple, but like I say, the nature of snag fishing, this swim, it's absolutely savage. So, fish number 3, going into the last night, definitely confident, at least one more bite. Happy days. Well, we've got one. Unbelievable, really. Had a take on the right hand rod in the open water. Unfortunately ended up a lost fish, which I'm gutted about. Obviously I said my main goal this year was to land as many as possible. I've lost 3 this trip now, which is gutting, but I had a take from the open water, and in the dark this fish was just charging to the left towards the island. The trouble is, in the dark it was hard to tell how far out it was. I was worried about my other lines, so I really gave it some. And I've done the hard part really, but unfortunately the hook pulled. And while I was sorting that rod out to put it back out, I started getting liners on the middle rod. And then that one was away with a much easier battle, which quickly resulted in this lovely 27.8 common, which definitely makes up for the one lost. Lovely fish. I'd say she's got a bit of spawn in her, she's fat as hell. Happy days. Well, unbelievably, I was just doing a closing piece to the camera to say that I think it was all over. I was going to end the video there, just like yesterday when I least expected it. Same rod, away again, resulting in this epic 21 pounder. Not been massive fish this trip, but every one of them has been an absolute corker. Another really tough battle against the snags. Loads of willow fluff down the line which made netting it really awkward. But what a way to close the trip and to close this spring video. This will be my last trip now. I'm sure the fish will spawn this week and I won't be back for around 3 weeks. A bit disappointing to lose 4 fish this spring, but I'm still learning, you know. Not mastered it all from last year and I've got a lot to learn from this lake still. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm excited for the rest of the year. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody for the kind messages and offers of help over these last couple of months. It's been really hard. I'm just grateful to be back out fishing. So thanks for watching. See you on the bank soon.